Hi. So I want to read off some scriptures and then I want to talk to you about these scriptures and about something very important. Okay, so go to Jeremiah chapter 18, verses 1 through 6. And the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Arise and go ye down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work in the wheel. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hands of the potter, so he made it again, another vessel. He seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter, saith the Lord? Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel. So, the reason why I'm reading off this script, well, let me explain the scripture first of all. Whether this is the first time you've heard this scripture, you've been going to church 100,000 years, this is always relevant to everybody because our lives change all the time and we get in different positions and different areas. So the potter's in the potter's house. He's making a clay pot, right? So it gets marred, like broken, marred. So he realizes, okay, I'm going to have to start over and make a brand new pot. This is marred, it's destroyed, right? So this has a lot of relevance to do with a person's relationship with God. Now, you might have been led in a certain direction to do something, maybe led by God, and you did it for quite some time, but then God kind of led you in a different direction, right? And you feel like even though you tried to pray and tried to get kind of closer to God, the spark doesn't come back, right? And you're feeling led in this other direction, and you can't understand what's going on. I mean, you know, you might have been, like in my circumstance, when I was a teenager and I first turned to God, I was in the youth, okay, and it was a complete life-changing thing, and God really changed my life, and I told God, if you ever give me the opportunity to be a youth leader, I will do it. I will do it to the max. I will absolutely, that's something I want to pay back, period, because it really altered my entire everything imaginable, right? So, what happened? About 5, 6 some odd years ago, I became a youth leader. It actually happened. And I was a youth leader for about 2 years or so. And what happened was, like I was just talking about being led in another direction, right? And you don't really have that passion right there, I mean? And it's like it's something you kind of really seek the face of God to see, well, is there something I'm slipping and messing up on? And it's like, you're not really messing up on, God's just leading you in another direction, right? And you kind of look at it and you're like, well, but why? Shouldn't it just be this way all the way? But no, God has a point and a direction for everybody in every way, everything imaginable. Take Peter, for instance, okay? Peter denies Christ 3 times. He swears up a storm. When Jesus does come back after dying on the cross and coming back, where does he find Peter? He's sitting on a boat naked, okay? This whole time, seeing Jesus walking on the water and all these just amazing, raising people from the dead. Yet here he is taking everything that he believed and he threw it on the ground and just boom. I don't know if you heard that, but still, threw it on the ground, boom. He broke what it was because he was like, wow, and God is there and he's saying, no. He's saying, I'm going to come back. And he's seen throughout Jerusalem and he says, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you something unbelievable, right? So the day of Pentecost comes, right? So they're all in this upper room and they're all praying, right? And even Peter, and even though he's still got that broken, I don't know what in the world's going on, it's not what we were doing. This is not the same thing, The whole time, God is in the potter's house and he's got Peter and he's just going back and forth and molding and shaping as he has been from the day of his birth. Without realizing it, all of us from birth to death, God is shaping us, right? So God's shaping, he's saying, okay, you used to be someone who followed me around, but now you're going to be one of my ministers. You're going to spread my gospel. You're going to this and that. And he's like molding and like going through the whole thing, and then the day of Pentecost comes and they're in the upper room praying and the Spirit comes down and just like that, just like that, he was filled with God's Spirit. And with that, a brand new vessel happened. But see, I guess I shouldn't be throwing it like that, but in order for clay to become a hard vessel like that, it has to be thrown in the fire. it has to be thrown in the fire, right? You know, I'm not saying that we should all have to be miserable and suffer, but you do go through things in life, you know, and in order to become a new vessel, you have to go through a fire. You ever heard this saying? I've heard it my whole life. No test, no testimony. You see what I'm saying there? If you haven't went through something enough, you don't really have that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that testimony. You know, you don't really have that fire inside of you. You know, but God will get you through. God's shaping you through all those bad things. God is altering. I could go on with story after story after story of people I know that was the same deal with the broken pot, you know, and what's going on. And I also want to say this to somebody who's maybe backsliding or they haven't been to church in years. Number one, you are constantly welcome to come back to church. And even if you had a calling in your life and you dashed it on the ground, you took that pot and you, good thing that didn't break, but you shattered that thing, the whole time God's saying, you know what, you threw it to the ground, but I meant for you to throw it to the ground because I'm shaping you. I'm creating something new in you. I'm going to create, you're going to go through things and you're going to turn your back on me for some period of time, but that whole time I'm shaping you and I'm changing and I'm altering and I'm making something new in you, something powerful, something new, a new vessel, you know, and I hope that somehow this speaks to somebody. And I truly believe, I don't even think it's just somehow. Whoever you are, you needed to hear this today, period. There is no question about it, okay? Because this is something that's been on my mind to do for a while, and I haven't done it. And today, because I work midnights at a regular job, all night long. You know what was the only thing I thought about? Whomever you are, you needed to hear this. All night, that's all I thought about was making this video all night long. I was doing my job, of course, focusing, but it kept coming back to my mind. Someone needs to hear this, right? You know, so whoever you are, doesn't matter how bad things look. Have you walked away from callings? Have you walked away from God? Do things just seem like they're going wrong and you're being led in all kinds of directions that makes no sense? The whole time, you are being created, crafted, molded, and shaped into something new, a new vessel. Yeah, you're going through a fire, but the only way this goes from gooey clay to a solid, hard vessel is if it goes through the fire. But that fire doesn't last forever. You ever heard that scripture? This too shall pass? That's from God. That's it will pass. You know, and I hope that this sticks with somebody, and I hope it inspires you, because God desires to make you a new vessel. Thank you, and have a nice day.